Foreign student caps, first of all. The legislation doesn't set a number. It empowers the minister of the day to set that number. Why not pass it and revisit a cap setting if you're in government?
Greg, the number of students in Australia, international students, has run out of control under this government. There's around 800,000 or so international students now. That's nearly double the amount that were in place in May 2022 when Labor came to power. There's about 1 million students, current and former, that are still here. And this is the problem. It's not about a cap on international students necessarily, just with the universities. It's also about those visas, the visa system that sits underneath it, that is in complete disarray under Labor. So we now have students that are either claiming asylum or that are on a bridging visa, that are awaiting a response, or are on COVID work visas still. There's around 30,000 of those still. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We want to see the problem addressed in a systemic way.
That might be the case, and you can approach it systemically, but into the future there will always be, won't there, a student visa category, and if you're going to cap it, you're going to have to arrive at a number. So in relation to the 270,000, which is the figure behind the government's proposal, higher or lower?
Well, this has been dealt with the universities, but not with the service providers, the private providers and the regional and rural universities too. And of course, unless there's been appropriate consultation with those two parts of the sector, well, you're only really playing favourites with just university students.
They don't get to set the number though, do they? That's up to responsible governments.
But it must be done in consultation. We want international students here. We want to attract the best and the brightest. But the problem is the system's been allowed to run out of control. We think that this piecemeal approach to legislation is actually going to make the situation worse and not better. And in the meantime, that burgeoning number of international students is pushing up rent prices, pushing up housing prices. It's causing detrimental problems to our economy. And this has all happened on Labor's watch.
OK, so apart from consultation, what else can you tell us about the process you will go through to land at a cap number? One, will it be this side of the election? Two, will it favour regional universities? And will it favour universities with low unionisation rates?
Well, we'll release the details of our immigration policy and strategy closer to the election, and all of that will become clear. What we would say is this is not how we would go about capping the number of international students, and that's why we're opposing this bill. Not because we don't want to see the number of international students come back and become more manageable, but because we think this bill, in fact, may make the situation worse. This is not addressing the systemic problem.
You must have an inkling, though, whether your own likely figure is higher or lower than 270,000.
All of that will become very clear before the election.
All right, let's move on. Jane Hume, I know time's